A mystical entity has unleashed a hunt for children. Can the psychics stop the supernatural killer? Don't miss out. One of the most emotional investigations of the project. This is Psychic Investigations, a project of true and astonishing stories. Here, people who call themselves clairvoyants investigate resonant criminal cases and baffling mystical anomalies. We received a plea for help from the Basenko family, Vitali, Natalia, and their children. These people are convinced that something supernatural lives in their home.
It's so terrifying when you sit and suddenly feel a breath on the back of your neck.
Sometimes I feel someone walk behind me and put their hand like this, but it's gone before I turn around.
I lie down to sleep and feel something climbing onto the bed and laughing. I can't move my hands or feet. It keeps climbing and crushes me, like a woman grabbing my neck.
Natalia is a homemaker. It's never been a problem for her to care for the livestock and cook delicious meals, but lately she's been afraid to enter the kitchen.
I was cooking in the kitchen. A knife was lying on the edge of the table, then it suddenly fell and stuck into the board next to my foot.
Vitalius is a good provider and can turn his hand to anything. He repairs the machinery himself and often feels a presence while working outside.
I saw a reflection of some kind of silhouette in the glass of my welding helmet. The silhouette was dark and blurry.
After seeing this silhouette again, the man narrowly escaped an accident.
A concrete slab fell. I don't know how many tons it was, and I was standing right there, a couple of meters away.
The parents fear that not only they, but also their children can fall prey to the unknown entity at any moment. The family has decided to immediately seek help from the psychics.
They're our last hope, because I don't know where else to turn.
Yana Pasinkova and Yaroslava Fedorova answer the family's plea and take on the case.
I had a dream of a little girl. She was about 4 years old. First, she stood with her back to me, but then she turned around, and instead of a face, she had a human skull.
The cause lies in a woman who's gone.
A dead woman.
She's gone. The woman hides a secret locked away.
But I see a man. He holds a knife. He holds the knife, aiming at the woman. I hear a voice saying, "Stop! Please, stop here!"
We're still 2 kilometers from the Basenkos' house, but the van stops.
All right, I need to go there. I can't go any further. There's a snowdrift. Wait. He says, "Help me, help me." How can I help him?
Later, we discovered that there is a cemetery in the direction Yaroslava was pointing. Thousands of people are buried there, so we don't know whose spirit appeared to her or why he is calling her.
He says, "The answer is in the water." What water?
Meanwhile, our crew has set up sensitive equipment in the Basenkos' home, and what they captured defies any logical explanation. Something semi-transparent and dark, resembling the silhouette described by the father of the family, moves around the room.
The silhouette is dark and blurry.
Nobody in the crew has ever seen anything like that.
Do you see it? Here. You see it pass?
It looks like an ordinary shadow. Somebody passed, and their shadow fell there.
If there'd been someone there, they would have passed in front of the camera. The camera is right by the wall.
It really looks like something alive.
Or dead.
This is what the psychics are to figure out. They arrive at the house.
Hello.
Hello? Can we go there?
Of course.
I've seen a woman. She's gone, but she thinks the house is hers. She won't let you live here. You've almost lost your children twice. Surgery, intervention, knives.
Our son was at death's door. They saved him in Kiev at the endocrinology clinic.
He was one step close to death, just like when he was born. And then, when he was 1 year and 4 months old, he had severe dehydration.
The family's problems started a long time ago. But are those incidents related to what's going on in the house now?
Yana, over here. I see what you told me about.
Look, a woman. She owns the property.
Yes, a woman used to live here, but she died.
Vitaly bought this house a few years ago.
She didn't just die.
She was murdered.
The locals say the woman died of a heart attack.
It's a murder. No one knows about it, though. There's a man involved in her death.
She had a husband, and he would mistreat her.
Vitaly's mother, who lives next door, knew the late woman well.
She was a kind woman, but her husband did such things that only made her cry.
The woman died suddenly about 8 years ago, and at the time, no one found it suspicious that her husband refused the autopsy.
He said, "You won't bring her back to life, so why cut her open?"
He beats her day and night, but she's silent, and everyone pretends it's okay.
They were a very secretive family.
The woman's spirit said her husband murdered her and didn't face punishment. Naturally, she's angry and causing destruction all around.
The husband died of stomach cancer a few years after his wife's death.
She demands justice. She's bound to this place, and she suffers because she wants the truth to be revealed. She's determined to bring attention to her cause by any means necessary.
She wants to leave this place. She shows the gate. The gate opened.
We needed to pacify the woman's spirit.
Let us perform a ritual.
The woman will no longer disturb you.
Yana. There he's standing. A dead man. He's tall and muscular, and his hair's dark.
That's my father.
It was the same spirit that called me when we drove past the cemetery. He says the answer is in the water.
He was found drowned.
Vitaly's father, Petro Basenko, drowned in the local lake 6 years ago. But why do the psychics see his spirit? Could his death be linked to the entity trying to wipe out the entire family?
Go to the water. Where can we find water here?
It's far from here.
All the answers are in the water.
The psychics and the family hurry to the lake. However, they can't reach it, as the snow is knee-high. We call a tractor. The crew and the psychics wait for it for 3 hours. Finally, it arrives, but something incredible happens right before our eyes. It appears that an unseen force overturns the multi-ton vehicle.
My God. Look.
And the wheels above the ground.
Some kind of force wouldn't let us go there. This is not an ordinary lake.
Cars overturned here, and so did a combine and a tractor. Vehicles overturned on both sides of the pond.
The deaths are inexplicable. I see children. I see an older man and a younger man.
There are lots of them.
Many people drowned there.
Lots of them?
Yes, I alone found 2.
My cousin drowned. He was a sailor. He was trying to save a girl, but drowned himself. My godfather also drowned.
It turns out that many people have indeed drowned in this lake. At least 2 deaths occur here every year, and they are all quite mysterious. The locals fear for their lives and avoid the lake.
It feels like this isn't water but a cemetery, you see?
It's an ancient cemetery. People were buried shallowly here and the water washed them away.
Do I understand it right that it's a flooded cemetery?
As we found later, there used to be a ravine with a cemetery here. But over several decades, it was flooded by groundwater, which washed the bones out of their graves.
The water that washed over a dead person, as well as any water that was at the cemetery for some time, is what we call dead water. This entire lake, with its flooded graves, is dead water. And the locals swim in this dead water.
That's why people often die here. Vitali's father also died from this dead water.
Why did he call me here? He says all the answers are in the water. I thought maybe the spirit of the dead father was drawing his son's attention in this way. He forced Vitali to ask us for help because the lake where his body was found is a real threat to the whole village. We need to bless the lake, and the church should tell the people how to ask for forgiveness from the deceased whose rest they disturbed.
I see the woman again. There's the woman. And there's a hole in the ground. The hole almost took your child.
Our daughter fell into the well.
But it wasn't here.
Over that way.
Do you mean you have another house?
I did, yes.
It turned out that this Basenko family has only lived in their current house for the past 3 years. Before that, they lived on the other side of the village, where the tragedy occurred with their then little daughter, Oksana. When the girl was 5, she fell into an almost empty well.
She and our neighbor's boy were playing there, and they decided to check what's in the well, and she suddenly fell into it. She cried, "Mommy, pull me out." But the well there is very deep.
It was terrible. I tried to climb out, but I couldn't.
The father wasn't at home. Natalia couldn't pull the girl out on her own. The neighbors came running, hearing the woman's screams. Among them was Grandpa Petro, Natalia's father. It was he who threw a rope into the well, climbed down, and rescued his granddaughter.
She clung to him by the neck and wouldn't let go.
The man's spirit said that the answer was in the water. But there's water both in the lake and the well.
I need to see that house.
We set out to the house where the Basenkos used to live.
Could we talk to the owners?
Yes. Hello. Tanya, could you please come to see us?
The house is now abandoned. Vitalis sold it to his friends, but they couldn't stay within its walls for long.
I had this feeling that someone was following me. I clearly felt someone's gaze, but when I turned around, there was nobody there. And the footsteps in the attic, like someone was walking up there. The kids were restless and couldn't sleep.
Tanya and her family moved in with her parents. They were too terrified to stay in the house.
Good evening. Tanya, pleased to meet you.
Evil lives here. This is its abode.
Yes, it bangs and it knocks and chandeliers fall for no reason. Even at night, something dark and shadowy came to press down on me, and I saw a black shadow.
Could the same dark entity be present in both houses, driving out not only the Basenkos, but anyone who settles in these walls?
It seems that this force clung to this family in their old home and is haunting them wherever they go. There's something bad. The horrible creature from my dream. The little girl with the skull instead of her face. But now, instead of the eyes, she had shards of a mirror. Stop.
A window at the back of the house shattered. Nobody understands how it happened.
Such things happen all the time.
I'm going inside.
When I ask what's in common between the old and new residents of the house, do you know what the cards say? They are united by dead children. You paid with your child.
My child, my daughter, was hit by a car. Her name was Yulia.
It turned out that soon after moving into this house, a terrible tragedy befell Tanya's family. Their 4-year-old daughter, Yulia, was killed by a car right outside the gate.
I was at home making dinner. She said, "Mom, I'm going to Grandma Olya's," and then I heard a crash, and that was it.
The girl died on the spot. The driver, of course, defended himself as best he could, but his testimony was far too strange. The man claimed that a woman pushed the girl under the wheels. Oh, his car. But at the same time, he couldn't describe the woman.
People point fingers at her, saying she did it.
People told me that all the time. They said I pushed her on purpose to get rid of her.
It's quite possible that the driver wasn't lying. He really did see a woman, but she was dead. A spirit pushed the child. That's what the cards show me.
At that very moment, in the house where Yaroslava Fedorova was working, a mirror shattered into pieces right in front of the camera crew.
A dead woman with an axe. She dances with the devil, like she's possessed.
She would indeed laugh for no reason.
It turns out the Babasenko family bought this house after the strange woman who lived here passed away.
This house is haunted by the spirit of that insane woman, and it's possible that she could attack anyone who settles here. But to stop her, we need to understand the reason for her anger. And the main question is, what do the children have to do with this?
The woman killed a man.
She strikes him on the head with the axe.
This sounds incredible, but it's a fact. The neighbors confirm it.
She killed her husband and hid his body not far from the house. People found the bones.
The motive of the murder remains unknown to date.
She doesn't understand what she's doing. Her eyes are glassy. She had some kind of grief, like yours, a small child.
The woman lost her child here.
No one knows what happened to the toddler. The neighbors only know the girl suddenly disappeared. Could the insane mother have killed her own daughter?
I need to read the cards. I need to sit somewhere here. The key to the mystery lies in the death of the first child. Whoever killed that child is killing all the others. Did the woman do it? No. She buried her here. Guys, we have a body.
Yes.
We found it by accident during the renovation.
Vitaly found a child's body buried on site while he was digging a trench on the property.
Indeed, a skull and a skeleton. We called the police and forensic experts. They took the bones for examination.
Everything pointed to the crazy owner of the house, but she didn't kill her child. The girl was taken not by someone, but by something. And only after that, her mother went insane.
She's also a victim. Some demonic force killed her daughter. Just like it killed Tanya's daughter, and it tried to kill Natalia's daughter in the well. This place takes children. If it hadn't been for your father, the girl wouldn't be here.
The grandfather said the answer was in the water. I looked at the well and saw the girl again, her face a skull, her eyes shards of a mirror.
The ill fortune comes from the well.
I approached the girl and looked into her eyes, and in the shards, I saw a reflection of a woman with incredibly long black hair. She was looking into the mirror and whispering something. She has long, dark hair and large, bright lips.
Gypsies used to live here.
The elderly villagers remember a gypsy family living in this house over 70 years ago.
The woman has abilities, and she gives hope to mothers about their children.
The gypsy woman who lived in that house could remove curses. She could save children from the other world. When children were seriously ill, they were brought to her.
She says, I take their misfortunes into my hands. All these misfortunes are here, in this water.
Get me a little water. There's something at the bottom. Something the woman placed there.
The gypsy woman practiced magic, sealing all the negativity, curses, evil eye, and children's illnesses into an object. Then she threw it into the well, but I don't know what kind of object it was.
Rubina. She's very knowledgeable. She's a gypsy herself. Let's ask her.
The clairvoyants called their colleague, Rubina Tsibulska, over Skype for advice.
What's used in gypsy magic?
Sand, cards, and a mirror.
I'm having goosebumps all over my body.
But it can also be used to remove curses, illnesses, and even deaths. You seal them in a mirror.
I feel her dump something.
A gypsy woman who practices magic would never throw away her working mirror, because if it breaks, it releases a terrible force that can kill.
So, the gypsy woman removed illnesses from children, lifted curses, and sealed them all in her mirror. All this negative energy accumulated in incredible amounts, turning the mirror into an entity.
When the gypsy left, she, for some unknown reason, threw the mirror into the well, and it broke.
And then I realized who the girl with mirror shards for her eyes was. The deadly entity made of hundreds of children's illnesses and deaths took on the form of a child.
Years later, someone opened the well, the woman who moved in after the gypsies. She released the entity and fell its victim. The well must be sealed.
For that, we need a small clay pot and milk, and a handful of coins.
Thank you.
We shouldn't simply thank these people, but carry them in our arms.
If you are moved by this story, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more astonishing investigations are coming up. A sinister spirit accurately predicted the precise date of a woman's death. Why is death after a mother of 3? The psychics are going to solve the mystery of an old murder. You're watching Psychics Investigate, where people with paranormal powers who call themselves clairvoyants investigate true criminal cases and solve unbelievable, mystical riddles. Oksana Sukomlinova from Ukraine approached the psychics, asking for help. She's sure she knows the exact date of her death. A mysterious woman in black who keeps coming to Oksana's dreams told her it.
I can't live with it. The woman in black keeps telling me that I'll die on the 1st of November. And on top of that, she adds that it will happen at 4:30 in the afternoon.
The woman is on the verge. It's not the first time that the sinister woman in black is foretelling death in Oksana's family. She's already taken away more than 10 of her relatives.
She brings death. First, my Uncle Kolya hung himself, and then Aunt Stasia jumped into the well. After that, Aunt Shura died at the dinner table, and my mother was after her. Our father simply burned in bed. There was a fire. My brother and his wife died in a car crash. I'm worried about my life because I have 3 children.
Zhana Shulikova and Olena Kurilova, 2 of the most powerful psychics in the project, agreed to help Oksana. Each of them immediately set out to meet her.
I had a vision of a beautiful young woman, but her body looked like it was pierced with some kind of spears or metal rods. And he kept asking me, release me, make me free. She's locked in some cramped space, like she's bricked up in a wall.
I'd like to take my cards and look. The cards are showing something strange. Don't touch it. You will regret.
Coincidence or not, but once the psychic pronounced these words, a severe wind blew. The cloudless sky turned black and hail started. This even appeared in the news.
A heavy downpour with strong winds and hail. The roads turned into rivers. Cars were literally floating along the streets. Apart from the rain, hail crashed on people's heads.
We can't go anywhere in such strong rain.
Somebody doesn't want us to take up the investigation.
While Olena Kurilova was being attacked by the storm, Zhana Shulikova, who was going there separately, was stopped by another obstacle. Something happened to the engine of the car in which she was.
It probably overheated. We need to wait for about half an hour for it to cool down, and then we can go.
Wait a minute. I'll be right back.
the clairvoyant went off somewhere without saying a word. Jana explained her unusual behavior later on.
There was a woman's spirit standing there. She was angry and terrible, and her throat was all black. I realized somebody had murdered her, so I told her, "Show me who did it, and I'll help you." But she answered, "I'll find the one who murdered me myself, and I'll revenge myself. If you keep bothering me, you'll be next." I lit a candle, but it can't hold her back. We must leave. Let's go.
Meanwhile, Oksana and her daughters are waiting for the psychics in the street. When the neighbors saw the crew, they also joined.
Hello?
Hello. These are my children. Something weird has been going on. My breathing stops at night.
What I see in my cards now is that the mother will be taken away first. What scares me most is that I see the child.
Does it mean we can die before we create families and have children? I don't want it to be true.
I think we should go inside.
Once I entered the apartment, my legs went numb. It was a sign that I had to stop right there. But who gave the sign and what were their intentions?
Howl, something's howling here. What could it be? Oh, what is this? Died. You'll die too, and your children will die. I'll show you my revenge.
It's coming from the threshold.
After Elena entered, her legs were giving way constantly. That is, she couldn't step over the threshold.
Give me a knife.
And what is this? We need to get it out. Oh, it's so gross.
It was meat, like it was plucked out of a bird. It was so shocking.
100% it's a dead bird. And the earth is from a grave.
I feel pressure over here.
I can't understand who did it. Who did we hurt? How is it even possible to be so cruel?
It's a death spell. And it's not all. There were other things too.
There was a mummified bat. It emerged from nowhere.
Anything can be a death charm if you impose a negative magic program on it that would cause death, illnesses, impecuniosity, scandals, divorce, and other things. But if you use a dead creature for it, no matter if it's an animal, a bird, or an insect, then it's definitely a death charm.
It was an awful sight. That bat, a dried bat. I called a neighbor, and when she came, she suggested that I should burn it.
She did it right with the bat, and we had to destroy the next charm and understand who had been planting all those things on her apartment.
Who hates you?
I can only suspect one person.
Oh, I don't like it. The woman warned that it was revenge for ruining her family. Did you convince her husband to leave her?
I didn't convince him to leave her. He's Diana's father. I never even claimed he was mine.
It turned out that the father of Oksana's younger daughter is a married man named Alexander. She met him at work at the local administration. The woman was a secretary there, and the man was its legal advisor.
We started to communicate, and then one evening, he phoned me and said, "How do you like the idea of me waking up at yours tomorrow morning?" I didn't get it, but he still arrived.
Oksana knew Alexander had a wife and children, but she anyway allowed him to stay for the night, and then again and again. As a result, she got pregnant.
It was done deliberately. We were going to start living together. He filed for a divorce, and we planned everything carefully, but then he broke up with me and left.
Alexander didn't explain anything and simply broke up with the pregnant Oksana. She suspects the sudden change couldn't have happened without the magic influence of this family.
He told me that his mother and wife had put a spell to make him come back to the family.
Returning your husband to the family might be noble, but the mechanism of the spell is such that the mistress ends up cursed. I won't be surprised if the spirit that Oksana has been seeing in her dreams is the woman who is bound to her home with the charm made with the earth from the grave.
The only person I could think of is Irina. She always blamed me for ruining her family.
Could you kindly take us to where that woman lives?
After Jana Shulakova has neutralized the charm, everybody goes to the place where the father of Oksana's younger daughter lives.
We would like to talk to you, please.
Soon afterward, Oksana's lover, Alexander, appears in the door.
There are a bunch of deaths there.
In this family,
I know.
God forbid if your wife or somebody else from your family, like your mother-in-law or I don't know who else, has something to do with it.
Both my mother and Irina swear they didn't go anywhere or didn't do anything.
But you told me yourself that they went to see a sorceress. Didn't you tell me this?
We'd like to talk to Irina.
Alexander is taking a huge risk, as it's impossible to tell the consequences of the meeting of his wife and his mistress.
She knew that we were married, but she still interfered in our life.
I'm aware of it.
She almost ruined our life, and now she dares to come here. I never wished anything bad to anybody, and I never hurt anyone in my life.
Then why did Uncle Alexander say that you'd been at a sorceress?
I never saw anybody.
Could it be your mother?
We didn't see her for black magic.
Then why did you go to see her?
To ask her to return the husband to his family.
And how can a sorceress return a husband to his family? You never cared about it.
The sorceress made the charm and planted it under the mistress's door. And she technically did it right. She did what her customer asked her and didn't care that it would simply kill the mistress.
The sorceress was simply a professional who did what she was asked. But her customer would be the one who bears the responsibility.
My death would give her relief. She would be relieved to know that I had finally passed away, but it wouldn't make her happy.
The thing is that he told me it wasn't his baby, and he wasn't going to return there ever in his life.
The classic scheme, the man tells his mistress one thing and his wife an entirely different thing. And now he is mute as a fish, as every word could potentially be used against him.
I think Alexander was scared himself because he had envisioned that this could happen.
The women got so heated that they dragged all the skeletons from Alexander's wardrobe.
He lives in a separate room from Irina. He doesn't sleep with her.
This is how wives find out that nobody has slept with them for the recent 5 years.
One of us hears one thing, and the other hears something absolutely different.
The cheated women go outside, while the man runs away before it gets worse.
I never wished anything bad for you, or especially your children.
It was just this text. Your kids go to school. There's a graveyard not far from yours. Watch out, or they may not return one day.
This is my sister-in-law.
Irina means Alexander's sister. She sent Oksana the texts with threats. This means that the cheated wife has nothing to do with it.
Any dirty word or every black word will influence the children's well-being.
I never wished anything bad to anybody.
Irina, he will never enter my home anymore, I promise.
The woman in black that Oksana sees in her dreams, and that's been taking away her relatives one by one, was not a dead woman bound to her home with the charm, as we'd thought earlier. But who could she be then?
The psychics decided to return to Oksana's.
And then I paid attention to the mirror. There was something inside it.
Oh dear, my God.
Oh.
Here it is. It fell out of the mirror.
Look, she's got holes in her belly.
This is insane. The photo is indeed pierced through. But who is the woman in it, and how is she connected with the tragedies in Oksana's family?
Whose mirror is this? Is it yours?
It was here when I moved in.
Who is this? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Then I recalled her. I'd seen her in the morning during the preparation for the investigation. Her body was pierced with some kind of spears, and she kept asking me, "Release me! Release me!"
As it turned out, Oksana moved into this apartment about 15 years ago. She didn't know its previous owners, and she never took an interest in who they were or what they did.
Nobody knows who she is.
The cards show me a pregnant woman dying.
I lived here. I looked into the mirror and I saw my face. My husband is wearing epaulets. It's like he was building his career. He was probably a military man since he was wearing the epaulets. And the mirror was a gift. I was given it and told to hang it.
It turned out that 30 years ago, a family without children lived in Oksana's apartment. The woman's every pregnancy ended in tragedy.
Her babies died.
He was a morale officer at the local police office.
Well, I see why she couldn't give birth. Her husband was given a good present. The mirror with her photo pierced with needles.
Considering that the man had a high rank, the motive is obvious. Envy. Black envy.
During her last pregnancy, the woman died with the baby. After that, the neighbors feared to live in the building, as they all were having nightmares.
The woman had a few disrupted pregnancies and died painfully. After her death, she couldn't go to the other world and spent 30 years locked in the mirror. Now I see why her spirit was so aggressive. We had to perform a highly dangerous ritual in order to remove the spirit of the woman locked in the mirror and break the link between her and Oksana. Only Oksana is going with us. Since you're hypersensitive, you'll see, hear, and feel everything. Anything can happen.
It was a shock. Olena was reciting a prayer over me. I felt light warmth around my body, and then I felt a push, and Olena and I fell on the floor.
Did you feel weakness in your arms and legs?
Were they numb?
They're still trembling.
The feelings that Oksana described told me that the prayers worked. The link with the dead woman was destroyed, and she couldn't hurt Oksana anymore.
But it turned out that during the ritual, Oksana had a vision. She saw the woman who's been tormenting her in her nightmares, and she saw her face clearly. And it wasn't the apartment's ex-owner from the photo. It was a different woman.
I heard the voice. It was calling me. Oksana! Oksana! I opened my eyes and saw a white woman with fair hair. She was dressed in a long gown with a pattern of orange flowers on it.
The woman in black and the woman in orange are both the same spirit, and I had seen it that morning, on the outskirts, not far from the garages.
Why does she sometimes come dressed in black?
A spirit, by the way, can appear in the clothes in which a person was buried, or in which they were at the moment of death. In this case, the woman seemed to have been buried in black, but she died wearing orange, as Oksana described.
But who is this woman, and why is she seeking revenge on Oksana? Where can she be found, and how can she be stopped?
I've been there. I left my candle there. I'll find the place.
The psychics are going to the site where Jana Shulakova stopped earlier this morning.
Oh, here it is.
Once we arrived there, the woman that Oksana has been seeing in her dreams, and that's been saying she'd die on the 1st of November, emerged. She began talking to me. Mariana, is that you? She told me. Dad.
Is Mariana's father a murderer?
Yes.
The tragedy occurred when Mariana was little. Her father, Sergei, strangled the woman, who came to give him her shoes to repair.
He made shoes and repaired them. When the woman came to him, they had a quarrel, and he strangled her.
This is the place where she died. She has 2 children left.
I don't know her.
She's mad. She's so mad. She's furious at the man. He's guilty, but I see he's taken legal responsibility for it.
I was 13 when he was released from prison. Now he has a new family and a new daughter. I never talked to him after that.
But if Oksana's husband has already been punished, then why does the murdered woman's spirit keep seeking revenge, and not on her murderer, but on his wife and children?
You're not a murderer, but you're a witness. More so, you're an idle witness.
He came home and told me he'd murdered somebody. He was drunk, and he went to sleep immediately. I waited until the morning. What else could I do?
Why didn't you call the police?
Had Oksana called the police immediately, the woman could have probably been saved.
She was alive at that moment. She was in a coma.
It was late at night. I had a little baby. I didn't know if those things he had told me were true or not. I thought he was hallucinating because he'd been drinking heavily those days. And only when he was taken by the police did I learn the truth.
It turned out that the police only found the murderer a week into the investigation. Oksana had been silent about his crime. So the victim sees her as his accomplice.
It happened in November.
This is why she's been mentioning the date.
My husband killed her on the 1st of November because he was arrested on the 8th.
The dead woman told Oksana the date on purpose. The spirit wanted her to know of her suffering.
Now I see the problem. But how can we solve it?
Jana, can I have your candle? Look at the flame and repeat after me. In the name of the Lord.
In the name of the Lord.
The psychics and Oksana were praying for a long time, asking the supreme forces to stop the woman from the world of the dead, from going to the world of the living.
I am deeply sorry you couldn't raise your children. Please don't take revenge on me.
You're going to be fine. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for helping me.
Sometime later, after the 1st of November, Oksana called us to share the good news. Her family was finally doing great.
Thank God I'm alive and it's all over.
Do you still see the woman in black in your dreams?
No, I don't see her anymore. Thank God things got back to normal.
It is not without reason that say that inaction and indifference are sinful. Because of her idleness, the woman inflicted misery on herself and her family. If you're impressed by the story, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more incredible stories are ahead.